Finding housing options in Grand Rapids can be difficult. Tom Sinas joins us now to talk about what you should know about the law before you start apartment hunting. It can be tricky, and there's some new ordinances that apartment hunters will want to know about.
It's true. We have a very tight housing market in Grand Rapids in West Michigan, and on November 7th, a new city ordinance went into effect, and that ordinance applies to the application process. The tighter the housing market, right, the more difficult the application process. The basic gist of this ordinance is that a landlord or someone screening for the landlord can't charge the applicant more than the charges the landlord actually incurs in doing the screening.
Okay.
So for example, if I'm going to rent an apartment to you and I want to do a background check or a credit check, if those services cost me $50, I can't charge you $500 to apply.
Right.
Right? And because what has happened here and in other cities is just the application process itself is becoming expensive, and that doesn't insure you an apartment by any means. If you were to apply and be rejected, I would have to refund the money to you if your application was turned down for anything other than what I told you I was looking for.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
All right, so that's the application process. Then what? Okay, suppose you find a place, you find a landlord, you're going to have a lease. This is one of those things that's really easy to gloss over on your face and not read it and just sign it. But this document matters because a lease, of course, is a contract, and it sets all of the terms. Everything from the very basic about when rent is due and how much rent is owed and who's responsible for the utilities, but a whole bunch of other things. And so you got to take time to review the lease, make sure you understand it. If you don't, ask the landlord questions, ask somebody else questions. We have a state law called the Truth in Renting Act, which prohibits certain kinds of things in leases, but there are a lot of other things that can be negotiated between the landlord and the tenant. All of that, of course, is reduced to the lease.
Okay.
So read the lease, read the lease, read the lease. What about security deposits? Well, we're seeing these as the market gets tighter and tighter. So we have a provision of law that says the security deposit cannot be more than 1.5 times the monthly rent.
Okay.
Right? So that seems fair, right? Because some people were being priced out of apartments because between the application and the security deposit, it was costing way too much to even get your first day in the apartment. The security deposit is the property of the tenant until the landlord declares that it's theirs. So it's yours.
Okay.
And you as the tenant have the right to know where the landlord is escrowing that money. And of course, you have the right to be told if for some reason you're not getting that money back and why.
All right. So it's important to know these different ordinances, and of course that lease meant to protect both parties in all this. And if anyone has any questions or they need someone else to look over a lease document, where can they find you?
Well, sure, they can give us a call in West Michigan at area code 616-301-3333. They can find us online at www.sinasdramis.com or shoot us an email at info@sinasdramis.com.
All right, Tom, as always, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Annie.